If you have an 11.5-inch SBR and then you throw a suppressor on it, you know that these guns can be very, very gassy. I'll show you how I tuned my 11.5-inch BCM where it shoots nice and soft and also doesn't have any excessive gas. When you get a standard BCM lower, like I have right here, they ship with a carbine weight buffer and a standard mil-spec buffer spring. Now, that is slightly underpowered even for an 11.5-inch with no suppressor. So when you throw a can on there, this is not adequate enough to slow down that bolt carrier group and make it shoot softer and have less gas. So what I did is I purchased a SprinCo blue spring, so they have colors for each different SKU. So this is a SprinCo blue, and I got a H2 buffer weight to try to slow down some of that velocity with that bolt carrier group, make it shoot softer, and the main thing, less gas. So when you have a standard buffer that comes with the BCM lower, it weighs 3 ounces. And this H2 buffer weighs 4.6 ounces. So it's only 1.6 ounces difference, but it makes a big, big difference when you add it and when you're running a suppressor. So as you can see right here also, this SprinCo blue spring is about 15% stiffer than your average or your mil-spec buffer spring that we have right here. So in combination with the heavier buffer weight and the stiffer spring, it does a very, very nice job suppressing the gas and the recoil with this setup. Low back pressure cans are all the rage right now, but when I have this just standard Surefire suppressor on there, there is nothing low back pressure about this. This is a high back pressure can, and that's good for functionality. And at the end of the day, this is my duty setup that I need for, home defense, stuff like that. So I want this gun to run. I don't want a weak, barely running carbine. I want a nice, reliable, slightly overgassed rifle. And with this combination of the SprinCo blue and the H2 buffer, I get that. So the first few shots that we shot were with the carbine weight buffer and the mil-spec buffer spring, and you can tell that they were ejecting far forward, which means that the gun's overgassed. So I have now the SprinCo blue spring, the H2 buffer in here, and just from charging the rifle, I can tell that this spring is a lot stiffer. I say a lot, but like 20% stiffer than the mil-spec. So we're gonna load up, shoot about 5-6 more shots, and see how these eject. So some of these ejected forward still, but some ejected more like a 230 positioning. But I can tell a big difference just from the felt recoil from this setup, that it's a lot softer shooting, and I don't have as much gas in my face. If I put an H3 buffer weight in here, it would probably make it even softer and even less gas coming into the face and all. But I want to have a rifle that will run both suppressed and unsuppressed. So if I get it too soft and then I take off the suppressor, it may not cycle with just your muzzle device. And in this case right here, I have a Surefire muzzle brake, and this thing is so good at mitigating recoil, and all that gas is dispersing to the sides, that if I put too heavy of a buffer in here, it's not going to cycle with this muzzle brake. And I want a gun that, if the suppressor goes down for whatever reason, I can take it off and still run the rifle. So that's why I'm going with an H2 instead of an H3 buffer weight. So as you can see, the heavier buffer and the stiffer buffer spring helped slow down that bolt carrier group a good bit, but it's still not absolutely fine-tuned where it's just shooting so soft and ejecting at the perfect 3 to 330 positioning. But for this rifle, I'm okay with how it is. It's slightly overgassed still, but that's what I want. So some people, they will add an adjustable bolt carrier group or an adjustable gas block to really fine-tune how much gas is coming into the system. But I don't like those. I just don't like any extra room for failure, so I just prefer to run it like this. And I'm sure those work fine, but for me in this setup in particular, I'm gonna keep it like it is, and I'm okay with it being slightly overgassed. I plan to try one of the bootleg BCG, adjustable BCGs in the future. on like a range build, just a fun plinking build, but for my duty setups, like I mentioned earlier, I'm gonna stick with this H2 buffer in the SprinCo blue. Hope you guys enjoy the video. If you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. Drop us a like, and if you don't mind, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.